Well, joining me now is a Republican representative from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Good morning, Congresswoman Blackburn.
Good morning, Chuck.
All right, I want to start with the various speculation that's out there about what House Republicans might agree to do today. There seems to be a growing group of moderate Republicans who say that they would support a clean funding bill, no strings attached, short-term, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then in that period force a negotiation on a larger, bigger deal. Where are you on something like this?
Well, I think that what we are all wanting to see is a resolution to the long-term fiscal spending issues. And this is something that we're better served. Some of us have been trying to do this for years, as you well know. And we've been frustrated that the Senate wouldn't do a budget. Now, they did a budget. They didn't want to go to conference. And we're saying as we look at the debt ceiling, we do have to look at tax reform. We do have to look at entitlement reform. And maybe we're at the point where we need to roll the CR and the debt ceiling discussions together and say, let's look at this long term. You know, when you talk about spending and priorities, it's imperative for Congress to do the appropriate amount of oversight on that discretionary portion of money. And certainly over the past couple of years, we've picked that up. And I think that putting that attention on stabilization of the trust funds, Medicare and Social Security, and reforms of the entitlements and tax reform so that we get an economic growth agenda, those are imperatives.
One of the things you said there, you said that the Senate didn't want to go to conference. They did want to go to conference. I thought it was the House Republicans. Hang on. I thought the House Republicans didn't want to go to conference on the budget, on the annual budget. There was
no.
Harry Reid tried to do it, blocked by Senate Republicans, and you guys haven't appointed a conferees, have you?
Well, what they wanted us to do was to predetermine that we were going to agree to a tax increase, and we weren't going to make that predetermination. We wanted to take our budget, sit at the table, and begin to work things out and put us in a posture so that we're able to address these long-term entitlement issues and address stability of these trust funds, which are going to have to be done sooner rather than later. You know, we need to put all of this on the table, Chuck. Be adults, sit at that table and work through these issues. And I'm one of those who has said, let's do it now. I don't want problems to fester and get out of control.
Well, you said, you brought up the adult word. I believe it was Mike Rogers yesterday, Republican congressman from Michigan, who said basically the adult thing to do would be pass a temporary clean CR, do a short-term debt limit rise, essentially put it, whatever, 6 weeks, and use the 6 weeks to do this big negotiation. Anything wrong with that? That doesn't seem like a radical suggestion, no?
No, and there are lots of good suggestions that are out there. Some of us feel that since the Obamacare or Affordable Care Act programs are the greatest portion of growth in the budget. This is where, you know, it was to be an $863 billion program, and now it's $2.6 trillion on the cost estimates that we are getting. What you've got to do is put that in the mix and address it before this program kicks off. And the reason we are confident that this has to be a part of the overall picture is because what we saw with the test case for public option health care in my home state of Tennessee, when they did TennCare, it quadrupled in cost over a 5-year period of time and ended up being 35.3% of the state's budget. And Chuck, we cannot afford that. If you look at CBO's estimates.
I understand that, but let me stop you here. It still doesn't explain why not fund the government now? I mean, look, we have FEMA workers being called in, not being paid. Capitol Police, big example yesterday. What's wrong with just a 6-week? That's what I can't get my arms around. What's wrong with 6 weeks of funding the government?
We are taking steps to fund the government and open components bit by bit. We would prefer for the Senate to work with us on this. We've given the Senate a lot of options.
But you're not funding the whole government. You are not calling for funding the whole government.
We're going to get components open and on a bit-by-bit basis and move it back to the point that we have all of these services that are available and open and do it in a responsible way.
Why pick winners and losers?
We're not picking winners and losers.
Well,
we're not picking winners and losers.
Doing these little rifle shot bills are doing just that, no?
Well, no, I would disagree with that. I think that what we are doing is exercising stewardship over the taxpayer dollar. The American people have long said that they want the out-of-control spending addressed. They want some attention put on this, and they're concerned about the debt and the long-term liabilities. And we're saying you gotta eventually put it on the table and address these problems. I'm ready to go to work today and get it done. I would hope that my colleagues in the Senate join me in that.
All right. Well, they're playing my song. I have to end it there. I have to go to break. Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn.
Thanks, Chuck. Good to
Tennessee.
see you. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.